Well, hello everyone. It is 2021. You made it into a brand new year, which means you're excited, of course, of all the possibilities of what this year will hold for you. We've had an interesting year last year, and we have a very special Dr. Lee Matthew who is going to share with us why we should be very positive about the new year and some thoughts about what other people may think about that. So, Dr. Lee, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. I do have to tell you that your comment about interesting year is actually, there's a ancient Chinese curse that says, may you live in interesting times. So unfortunately, I think we got that curse right now.
Yeah, so hopefully we're out of that because I'm sure a lot of people are looking forward to something very different and hopefully a lot better.
Well, hello. My name is Dr. Lee Matthews. I'm a consulting psychologist with the AKULA Foundation. In the past, my wife and I did a radio talk show on mental health issues, and the topic of New Year's resolution was always a favorite, so we thought we'd share some of that with you. I'm going to tell you a little bit about its history, the types of resolutions, how to keep them, as well as a few quotes at the end, as that was how we always kind of signed off. So it's after the New Year's. Why am I talking about New Year's resolution? A New Year's resolution is a commitment that an individual makes to a project or reforming of a habit. Another definition of resolutions is challenging opportunities. It's less than 6 days into 2021. So if you look at surveys, about 6 or 7 out of 10 of us, if we made a resolution, are still keeping it. More on that in a few minutes. It's said that the tradition of making New Year's resolutions was started by early Babylonians. Their most common resolution was to return borrowed farm equipment and begin the new year with a clean slate. Some people believe that a New Year's resolution was actually a promise made to the gods in the hope that the gods would then grant them some favor in return, like a good harvest. It was also believed that breaking a New Year's resolution brought bad luck on the individual. So you need to be careful about your resolutions. One of the first written histories of a tradition of New Year's resolution goes back to 153 BCE. Janus, a mythical king of early Rome, was placed at the head of the calendar, our January. With 2 faces, Janus could look back on past events and forward to the future. Janus became the ancient symbol for resolutions, and many Romans looked for forgiveness from their neighbors and enemies, and also exchanged gifts before the beginning of the new year. Some people say they don't make resolutions because they don't keep them. By the time they're 2 weeks into the new year, many have already given up on their resolutions, although it's still around 70%. It's a stark irony that in Western calendar, the odometer turns over smack dab in the middle of the winter, the one time of the year when most people can't rouse themselves enough to get their breakfast dishes off the counter, much less make an ambitious, life-changing behavioral U-turn. I have some suggestions for that in a couple of minutes. I do want to suggest some new ways to think long-term about life-changing healthy events, how to make them, and more importantly, perhaps when you might start making them. But first, here's some fun facts related to resolutions that are observed in America. About 40 to 45% of us as adults, make one or more resolutions each year. About 67% of us make 3 or more. That is not a good idea, as I'll point out in a minute. Past about the first week, 75% or 3 out of 4 people keep them. Past 2 weeks, still about 71%. After a month, it's down to about 65 or 6 out of 10 people. After 6 months, it drops to less than half with us keeping them. And that's less than 5 out of 10 people. Recent research has shown that while 52% of participants in a resolution study were confident of their success with their goals. Only 12% actually achieved their goals. So here's a baker's dozen, that's 13, of resolutions borrowed from multiple websites. They're probably the most popular one that people make. One, spend more time with family and friends. 50% of us vow to appreciate and be with more family and friends. Unfortunately, with pandemics, that number is probably closer to 90% this year or last year. Two, fit in fitness. Along with that, number three, tame the bulge. Number four, quit smoking. Number five, enjoy life more. Six, reduce drinking. Seven, find or refine your soulmate, renew marriage relationships. Get back. Number eight, get out of debt. Stick to a budget. Number nine, I really like this one. Learn something new. Change something, start something new, pick up a hobby, look at a lifelong learning experience online. 10, help others. A popular non-selfish New Year's resolution. Volunteerism can take many forms. Help a neighbor, donate time to a nonprofit organization. 11, I'm not going to follow this resolution, get organized, but it is a popular one. You'll reduce stress if you know where everything is. 12, find a better job or take a better attitude toward your current job. 13, reduce stress at home and work. Develop interests and hobbies. Find some coping skills. So, what do we do if we do not make resolutions for New Year's but want to make some changes? Consider making them at another date. If you want to preserve the idea of a new start, Chinese New Year for this year is on Friday, February 12th. You've got over a month. This year, the animal is the metal ox. The ox is a faithful friend that make great contributions to society. Like the ox, the symbols for it are diligence, persistence, honesty. People born under the year of the ox are industrious, cautious, hold their faith firmly, and are always glad to offer help. Even if you're not born under the sign of the ox, those are good traits and would probably make some pretty good resolutions for you. Or what about Ash Wednesday? Wednesday, February 17th this year. It's a time when many people give up something, and most traditional resolutions we make have to do with making sacrifices. Or how about the astrological start of spring, a time of renewal? That would let you put it off until Saturday, March the 20th. Or what about celebrating the birth of a nation on July 4th to make a new beginning for yourself? My message here is simple. Don't feel like if you didn't make one a week ago, not that you can't do that. Pick out a time that makes some sense, that maybe has some meaning personally for you or any of those I mentioned. Well, how am I going to stick with that resolution that I make, Lee? Well, be smart. That's SMART, sort of like my car. This approach, given to me, written on the back of an envelope at lunch one time by a friend who's a wellness specialist in the New Orleans area. Each letter in SMART stands for a principle. S is for specific. Be specific in your resolution. Not saying I'm going to lose weight, but let's set a goal. Let's say lose 5 pounds. M is for measurable. That's 5 pounds. I could get on the scale and do that. A, attainable. I may lose 5 pounds in a month, not 50. R, be realistic. I want to do a 30-day African safari adventure. I could probably find the time to go to the zoo for one day. T, timely. Don't put off losing that 5 pounds or whatever your resolution is for some future date. Set a timeline for yourself, such as I'm going to lose 5 pounds in the next 30 days. I'm going to do a favor for some people in the next week, whatever it is. There's numerous reasons why we don't keep New Year's resolutions. Perhaps the most important one, to use a highly technical psychological term, we mess up. We forget to do something. Or, we that bar of chocolate slides across the table and grabs us. However, if we view our New Year's resolutions, perhaps we should take a page from Alcoholics Anonymous and realize that when we don't keep a resolution, it's just a slip, not the end of the journey for that specific resolutions. And we may be on the way to making a better kind of success for ourselves. So if I keep those things in mind and have a plan, how do I go about keeping or restarting that resolution? Experts agree that no matter how stubborn a habit you've developed, there are ways to break negative patterns and keep healthy resolutions throughout the year, not just at New Year. The trick is to keep everything in perspective. 1, create a plan with clear steps. In order for your resolution to have resolve, it must translate into clear steps. A good plan will tell you what to do next and what are all the steps required to do that. 2, aim low, really low. Most times it's much easier to say or write a resolution than to do it. Don't set the bar too high. I'm going to lose 30 pounds by April and finally fit into that dress is not a good sweeping declaration. Pick a target that makes more sense. 3, don't overload yourself, not 3 or 4 resolutions. It's hard enough. Why would you want to saddle yourself with 3 or 4 of them? Choose the most pressing issue that you really want to make a change in. Losing weight, finding a new relationships, improving your relationships with other people, helping someone out. Just concentrate on that one. If you make that one, then you can go make another. If you get to the first goal before the 4th of July, make yourself another. You get 2 in. 4, write down your resolution and plan. You doesn't have to be long, a few words, a few sentences. 5, don't keep your resolution to yourself. Tell someone you trust about your resolution. Hell, tell everybody, okay? If people I trust know I'm doing a resolution, they're more likely to push me in the right direction if I veer a little off course. And there's no shame in seeking help if you can't accomplish your resolution on your own. You're trying to do something. Step 6, take action. Action precedes motivation, not the other way around. People often think they should wait until they're motivated to start something. No, it doesn't work that way. You need to start trying to initiate an action. A small step, that's back in your plan, and it'll pick up momentum, and you may find out, you know what, this isn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. 7, reward yourself all the way through. Small pieces, small steps all the way through. 8, as I said before, think year round, not just for the new year. Think about those things that are important. You can set a resolution in a day, but make a lot of tiny steps and get there. Develop a ritual or a habit for revisiting your plan, or leave yourself reminders with smartphones. Leave yourself a reminder in a smartphone to check. Is it time to work on that given task, that goal? 9, remain flexible. Expect that your plan can and will change. Life has a funny way of throwing unexpected things at us, and flexibility is required to repeat anything. There's a phrase that says, life is what happens when we're planning something else. So expect that that's going to be a change in that plan. Most of all, recognize partial successes as being successful. It's look at the little steps, accomplish the little things as you go along. Well, I either promised you or threatened that I would give you some quotes as a way of ending this. Some of them are semi-serious. Some of them are probably a little stupid, and hopefully a few of them will give you a laugh or two. Edmund Lovejoy's Pierce. We will open the book. Its pages are blank. We're going to put words on them ourselves. The book is called Opportunity, and its first chapter is New Year's Day. Mark Twain. New Year's Day. Now is the accepted time to make your regular annual good resolutions. Next week, you can begin paving hell with them as usual. Your Merry Christmas, this is an anonymous one, your Merry Christmas may depend on what others do for you, but your Happy New Year depends on what you do for other people. Every tomorrow has two handles. We can take hold of it with the handle of anxiety or the handle of faith. Henry Ward Beecher. A New Year's Resolution by James Agee. To tolerate fools more gladly, provided this does not encourage them to take up any more of my time. And my favorite poet, Khalil Gibran. Yesterday is but today's memory. Tomorrow is today's dream. From the AKULA Foundation, our wish for all of you, may the best day you had in 2020 be the worst day you have in 2021. Unfortunately, for some of us, we got to think all the way back to January and February. Have a good evening.
Well, that was wonderfully said, and you gave us a lot to unpack for this new year.
Yes.
And very much appreciated. And thank you so much for taking the time. And so you've just given us what we need to do it one day at a time, and
one day at a time,
one resolution at a time.
One of the things about the idea of action before motivation is also sort of related to another Alcoholics Anonymous term, and that is fake it till you make it. Just keep doing it until it works.
Right.
And I think that follows for resolutions too.
I think that's great. It sort of takes the pressure off of everyone and allows us to give ourselves a break when it doesn't all work, but believe that it will eventually.
One of the other things that somebody mentioned during a meeting we had earlier was make time for yourself.
Self-care.
Make sure that you take time for yourself. The person who was making the comment made some comment about there's only 24 hours in the day. And I said, wait a minute, I thought there was 25. And it's that idea that we really need to make time for ourselves because there's only so much time. And if we don't cut out a little piece of time for ourselves, we find ourselves, even resolutions and other things, going from one thing to another. And that's another reason not to make more than about one resolution, is we try switching from one thing to another and we don't get anything accomplished. Yeah. When the person said to me, make more time, I said, you're reminding me of two quotes. One quote is, don't tell me not to burn the candle at both ends. Tell me where to get more wax.
Yes.
And the other one is a sign someone gave me a number of years ago that's actually up on the wall here. I'm so busy, I don't know if I found a rope or lost my horse. Wow. Make time for yourself can be added to that list of things that we ought to do for a resolution. Have a good evening.